Rising, everybody. How you doing? This is your Coach Renz, and welcome to What's Wrong with the Bible with Coach Renz. We're trying another outside location. We'll see how it works. I'm going to make this outside work. Just doing a little housekeeping before we get started. I don't think these shades are going to work well for blocking some of the reflection. So that was a failed mission, failed attempt. Let's make sure I can actually read this because we got to do some reading today. The reading's going to be interesting. Part of this whole experiment today. As you come on, let me know who you are, where you are. It's great to see everybody. Move this a little. See if I can get the microphone a little bit closer. Switch the angle a little bit. I don't know. We're going to see how the sun moves. That should help us out. Or at least help me out with some of this. Get the microphone actually turned towards me. We're going to try to make this happen today. We're going to figure out a way to do this outside. One way or another. You might have to give me a tent or something that I can put over me so that I can actually block out, have the light right. But that's what happens when you move. You end up in a new location. But anyway, so I want to welcome everybody here. If you're finding us for the first time, what we do is deconstruct Christianity for the most part, but deconstruct religion, but mainly Christianity. Since that is the religion that I deconstructed from, that is my main focus. This series has been a series called What's Wrong with the Bible. We have done books Genesis all the way up to now we are starting Deuteronomy. So I hope you guys are ready for that one. If you've been with me the whole time, then it's been a great journey. And I don't know how far we're going to go with this series. Some books we may actually wind up skipping. Because some of these books are nauseating. Like Numbers drove me crazy. Numbers were, Genesis, we had a story, a beginning, all the storyline. And then, Exodus, the story. Leviticus, the law. And then Numbers, the counting. And now we're in Deuteronomy, which means the second law. Deuteronomy, really what we're going to see a lot of in Deuteronomy is a rehashing of Exodus, Leviticus, and Numbers. There's going to be a lot of rehashing. If you've ever heard the term, an old man loves to wag his tongue, this is pretty much what Deuteronomy is going to be. An old man wagging his tongue consistently and continuously. Yet fussing at the people about what they done done, what they've been through, and all this sort of thing. And of course, we're going to get some new laws, some additional laws, which is always interesting because, you always hear people saying that, the only law, the only commandments were the 10 Commandments. All those other laws don't count. Yeah, they do. Yeah, they do. That was one of my things about why I left Christianity, was the fact that we're supposed to, your Jesus character says that you're supposed to keep the law. But of course in Christianity, people don't keep the laws other than the ones that they like. The ones that they like, those are the ones they keep. Now, because of the reflection, it's going to be hard to read some of them, but Grand Rising Dr. Calvin Islet. I don't want to mess that up. And Leonard. If I mess up your names, please forgive me. Coming out of Ghana and South Africa. I appreciate the compliment on my hats. Angelina just got me this one. Just got me this one yesterday. So of course I had to put on some red so I can rock the hat. All I need is some black cowboy boots to go with this one. I got brown cowboy boots, but some black cowboy boots. We gotta set it off. I'm gonna get me some. Oh, Jamie, been a while. Key West. I think that's the Jamie from Key West before. We got nice weather today, so I can't be mad at you. We got a little wind. Casey in West Texas. What about in West Texas, Casey? Isha, Grand Rising. So I usually give about 5 minutes before we get started, and we have hit that 5 minutes. Abilene. Abilene. I thought that was North Texas. I remember riding through Abilene when we went from Albuquerque to Oklahoma City. I swear we rode through Abilene. And I thought we was in North Texas, but we could have been in West Texas. I'm sure you know where you live, and I don't. Indian Rock Beach, Florida. All right. Oh, I'm thinking about Amarillo, Texas. We rode through Amarillo, Texas when we left Albuquerque. Got it. I'm just checking something real quick. Yep. So next month we'll be in Dallas, Texas on March. So the 11th we left to Jackson. So March 12th we'll be in Dallas, Texas, and then we'll leave Dallas, and on the 13th to ride to El Paso, and we will be passing through Abilene, probably getting some gas in Abilene. So for those of you who don't know, Angelina and I are taking a cross-country trip starting March 7th, 8th, somewhere around in there. The real kickoff, we're going to go to Atlanta for a few days, and then we're going to ride. We're going through, we're riding to Jackson, Mississippi, Dallas, Texas, then El Paso, Texas, then Phoenix, Arizona, San Diego. We're going to spend a couple of days in San Diego. Then we're going to LA, about 4 days in LA. Then Vegas, about 4 or 5 days in Vegas for a cigar conference. And then we go to Grand Canyon, then Albuquerque, then Oklahoma City, then Memphis, then Knoxville, then back to Wilmington. So if you're along that trail and we can possibly meet up, let's figure it out. You're in one of those cities. So Keon, you'll be in Jackson, Mississippi. All right. So you got to hit me up on the instant messenger or whatever. Communicate based on the system you're on. If you're on Facebook or YouTube, so hit me up, and we may be able to facilitate something. Because I've never been to Jackson, Mississippi. I have no idea what's in Jackson. Hopefully, y'all got a good cigar lounge at least. Guys in NYC, we probably will get up to New York sometime this year, but it'll definitely be when it's warmer. Definitely when it's warmer. All right. What up, Trauma? Curtis is in Dallas. So there's like 3 or 4 people right now who live in Dallas. So it looks like we might be able to put, a good little meetup together in Dallas. So y'all got to hook us up. Oh, Saman is in Germany. I used to live in Stuttgart. I love Germany. Appreciate that, Russell. All right, we got to get started on this lesson, y'all. Got to get started on this lesson. Got to get started. Then we'll do, of course, the way this works. If you're here for the first time, the first hour or so, or whenever, however long the actual lesson part lasts, then we stick to the subject. Other questions I will ignore until we finish the subject matter. Then after that, we do Q&A, and I usually end around 3:30, somewhere around in there. So that's the normal way it works. So if I'm ignoring anything that you say, then that is why, because we are in the lesson part. And when we get to the part where a whole bunch of people are talking, it's gonna be hard. But yes, I do know Zoroastrian. I know a decent amount about Zoroastrianism. Butzbach. I don't even know what that said. So today we're starting in Deuteronomy, the second law. Moses is going to fuss at the people and remind them about a whole trip that all of the people all these people were on the dang on trip. Now my reading might be thrown off today because being outside, I got to move on the reflections. So I got to figure out a better way. Like I need like a hood thing to go, like a cover or something. Oh, let me figure out. Nope, that ain't gonna work. I was trying to see if I can block some for the reading part when I read. Oh, I find this from in Zambia. So in 2026, we'll be going to Zambia for a wedding. Yes, that is one of the things I do like about Zoroastrianism. It's just good thoughts, good works, good deeds. If the world could just do that part, that would be great. Good thoughts, good word, good deeds. That is one of the things that when I was in my 20s that attracted me to Zoroastrianism. Then I was disheartened when I was told that you have to be born into it. And I was like, that's bullshit. All right. So let's get into it. Let's get into it. So we finished the book of Numbers where we thought Moses was getting ready to die, but Moses did not die. First, the old tongue must wag. So Deuteronomy is the second law, and he's going to get into all the shit that they've already been through. So let's get started. These are the words in which Moses spoke to all of Israel on the side of the Jordan in the wilderness. In the plain opposite of Supah, between Paran, Tophel, Laban, Hazeroth, and Dizahab. It is 11 days' journey from Horeb by way of the Mount Seir to Kadesh, Beneh. Now it came to pass in the 14th year, in the 11th month, on the first day of the month, that Moses spoke to the children of Israel according to all that the Lord had given him as commandments to them. After he had killed Sihon, king of the Amorites, who dwelled in Heshbon, and Og, king of Bashan, who dwelled in Ashtaroth in Eridel. I'm going to come back to Og a little bit later on because he's going to talk about him. And I want to give you a little bit more information on Og. So remember that name. But that whole first part was just to let you know that he got a whole bunch of bullshit he about to say. He got to make a big old speech. And he's going to be talking for a while. On this side of the Jordan, in the land of Moab, Moses began to explain this law, saying, "The Lord our God spoke to us in Horeb, saying, you have dwelt long enough in the mountains. Turn and take your journey and go to the mountains of the Amorites, to all the neighboring places in the plain, in the mountains and in the lowlands, in the south and on the seacoast, to the land of the Canaanites and to Lebanon, as far as the great river Euphrates. See, I have set the land before you. Go in and possess the land which the Lord swore to your fathers, to Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, to give to them and their descendants after him. So he's reminding them that, hey, okay, so just as a reminder, you got to remember, and it's going to get into this in this chapter and the next chapter, this chapter or the next chapter, about why they have been walking around in the wilderness for 40 years. And he's saying, okay, you walked around. Now all your parents are pretty much dead. So now we can go into the promised land. Now, mind you, he said, I'm going to give you this land all the way to the Euphrates River, which was part of the promise of Abraham. But at no time in history have the Israelites owned the land all the way to the Euphrates River, which makes these prophecies and make him a liar, because it's never happened. And I doubt if it ever will. So now Moses is going to start talking about all the bullshit, all the stuff that he did. And we're going to correct some of it. Grand Rising, Oki. And I spoke to you at that time, and I alone am not able to bear you. The Lord, your God, has multiplied you, and here you are today, as the stars of heaven in multitude. May the Lord God of your fathers make you 1,000 times more numerous than you are, and bless you as he has promised you. How can I alone bear your problems and your burdens and your complaints? Choose wise, understanding, and knowledgeable men from among your tribes, and I will make them heads over you. And you answered me and said, the things which you have told us to do is good. So I took the heads of your tribe, wise and knowledgeable men, and made them heads over you, leaders of thousands, leaders of hundreds, and leaders of 50s, and leaders of 10, and officers of your tribe. Then I commanded your judges at that time, saying, hear the case between your brethren, and judge righteously between a man and his brother, or a stranger who is with them. You shall not show partiality in judgment. You shall hear the small as well as the great. You shall not be afraid. You should not be afraid in any man's presence, for the judgment. Let me move this up some. For the judgment you shall hear, the small as well as the great. You shall not be afraid of it in any man's presence, for the judgment is God's. The case that is too hard for you, bring to me, and I will hear it. I commanded you at that time all things which you should do. Now it's interesting that this is what got Moses in trouble with this God, is that he take credit for shit that ain't his. His Midianite father-in-law, Jethro, is the one who actually gave him this idea. Grand Rising, Devin, we got some more Texas people in the house, some more Dallas, Texas people in the house at that. But his grandfather, Jethro, gave him the whole idea for this judicial process to which he's talking about right now. And it's not a bad judicial process, but it's not like he came up with anything new, or even Jethro came up with something new. If Moses truly was a prince of Egypt, then Moses would have already known that that type of judgmental system had already existed in Egypt prior to him going out there with these Israelite people. That the Pharaoh didn't hear every case, but he had people in place at different levels to hear the cases and problems and settle issues amongst people. So it's not that he's coming up with something new, and it's a new commandment from this God. This is a system that had already been in place during the Akkadian Empire with Sargon, and then later on in the Babylonians, this was in place with Hammurabi, and how he orchestrated the Hammurabi Code and had judges at different levels to take care of different issues and problems that different people had. So this idea of having this is not original. It's not something that he came up with and the Bible came up with. This is something that was already in societies that they were surrounded by. So we departed from Horeb. We departed from Horeb and went through all the great and terrible wilderness, which you saw on the way to the mountains of the Amorites, as the Lord our God had commanded us. Then we came to Kadesh Barnea, and I said to you, you have come to the mountains of the Amorites, which the Lord our God is giving us. Look, the Lord your God has set the land before you. Go up and possess it, as the Lord God of your fathers has spoken to you. Do not fear or be discouraged. And he's not talking about anything new. He's talking about when they first got there. So it's like, I'm telling you about the journey to which you've already taken. So let me tell you about it again, because I know that as soon as my speech is over, I'm going to die. So let me keep talking as long as I possibly can. I'm on my deathbed. And every one of you came to me and said, let us send men before us, and let them search out the land for us, and bring back word to us of the way by which we should go up, and of the cities into which we shall come. And the plan pleased me well. So I took 12 of your men, one man from each tribe, and they departed and went up into the mountains and came to the valleys of Eshcol, and spied it out. They also took some of the fruit of the land in their hands and brought it down to us. And they brought back word to us, saying that it is good land which the Lord our God is giving us. Now remember, there are people who are living on this land. And this is when he picked 12 people, and they went and they spied on the city of Jericho and the land to see, like, let's find out what we're up against. Even though they're God, supposedly told them, don't worry about that, y'all just go. Nevertheless, you would not go up, but rebelled against the command. Oh, shoot. I lost it for a second. My page went away. Nevertheless, you would not go up, but rebelled against the command of the Lord your God. And you complained in your tents and said, because the Lord hates us, he has brought us out of the land of Egypt to deliver us into the hands of the Amorites to destroy us. Where can we go? Our brethren have discouraged our hearts, saying, the people are greater and taller than we. The cities are great and fortified up to heaven. Moreover, we have seen the sons of the Anakim there, sons of the giants. Then I said to you, do not be terrified or afraid of them. The Lord your God, who goes before you, he will fight for you according to all he did for you in Egypt before your eyes. And in the wilderness, when you saw how the Lord your God carried you, as a man carries his son, in all the way that you went until you came to this place. Yet for all that, you do not believe the Lord your God, who went in the way before you to search out a place for you to pitch your tents, to show the way you should go, in the fire, in the fire by night, and the clouds by day. So basically, if you guys remember this part of Exodus, this is when they sent those spies in. And then when they came back, the 10 of them were like, look, man, there's some giants. Yeah, land good, but there's some giants up in that joint. They got fortified walls. They gave an accurate report of what was going on. But Caleb and Joseph, is it Joseph? Yeah, Joshua. Caleb and Joshua was like, nah, but we can take them. We can take them. But because the others were like, y'all, man, you not brought us up here to kill us. This guy got mad, and then that's when he was like, no, fine. Y'all rebelling, you ain't getting into the promised land. And that's what he's about to get into in this next part. But remember, because they had given a bad report, the people got a little weary about it, which is a normal thing. It's a normal thing. But this guy doesn't treat that as normal, because you're just supposed to follow him blindly. And the Lord heard the sound of your words and was angry. Isn't that interesting? How can you worship a God that gets angry? Because if anger can motivate this God to do something or not do something, then that means that the emotion of anger is more powerful than the will of this God. And in a minute, he's gonna demonstrate how he's gonna retell how he demonstrated the fact that forgiveness is not part of his repertoire either. Not in any sense that is beyond, not in a sense where, like, as a person, you would be forgiving of another person. Or in his case, these are supposed to be his children. And the Lord heard the sounds of your words, and he was angry, and took an oath, saying, surely not one of these men or this evil generation shall see the good land of which I swore to give to your fathers, except Caleb the son of Jephthah. He shall see it, and to him his children I'm giving the land on which he walked, because he he woefully followed the Lord. The Lord also the Lord was also angry with me for your sake, saying, even you shall not go in there. Joshua the son of Nun, who stand before you, he shall go in there. Encourage him, for he shall cause Israel to inherit it. So Moses throwing daggers out there. So he's telling them, you know how all of y'all who walking around right now, I'm reminding you of why your parents had to go into the desert and die. I'm just reminding you, your parents went into the desert and died, and none of y'all were there when this part happened, or y'all were smaller children. Y'all were under the age of 20, to be correct. Y'all were under the age of 20, so y'all may not remember. But the reason why all your parents died all over the wilderness, and none of them are here now, except for Caleb and Joseph, and Joshua and me, is because they didn't just want to go in there blindly and take this fight, but they, you know. So, and I'm not being able to go because now he didn't tell them why he wasn't able to go. He didn't tell them what he did, right? He didn't say that, oh, well, I'm not able to go in because God told me to come and speak to the rock. But instead of speaking to the rock, I came and I hit the rock with a stick twice. And then I took credit for the water that came out of the rock. And so that's why I can't go. Even though I did all this other stuff for this God, I can't go because of that. Right? So, moreover, your little ones and your children, who you will say, who who you say will be victims, who today have no knowledge of good and evil, shall go in there. To them I will, give it, and they shall possess it. But as for you, turn and take your journey into the wilderness by the way of the Red Sea. Yeah, kill your parents. Then you answered and said to me, we have sinned against the Lord. We will go up and fight, just as the Lord our God commanded us. And when every one of you, had girded on his weapons of war, you were ready to go into the mountain. And the Lord said to me, tell them, sorry, I'm trying to read it through the glare. Tell them, do not go up, nor fight, for I am not among you, lest you be defeated before your enemies. So I spoke to you, yet you would not listen, but rebelled against the commands of the Lord, and presumptuously went into the mountains. And the Amorites who dwelt in that mountain came out against you, and chased you as bees do, and drove you back from Seir to Hormath. And you returned and wept before the Lord, but the Lord would not listen to your voice, nor give ear to you. So you remained in Kadesh many days, according to the days that you spent there. So I want you to think about something, right? I want you to think about something. No, sir. You have just earned being banned, my guy. We do not allow that kind of commentary in here. It was a YouTube person, and they are gone. My moderator is busy, I guess. So here's the thing, and this will answer your question, Christopher Lawrence. Uh, this is one of the reasons why we go through this book and we study this book, because we recognize why we should not worship this God. This is the Bible, the book that most of us were given as children, taught as children. But here in this example, the God said, hey, I'm gonna give you this land. The people was like, man, but it looked kind of scary. A good parent would then reassure their children and then help them along the way and give them the promise to which they said that they was going to give them. But in this case, instead of this guy doing that, what he decided was, oh, y'all don't want to just go blindly because I said so. But after y'all now thought about it, now y'all want to go after I said what the punishment is gonna be, and now y'all want to go. Now I'm not gonna forgive you for that bullshit. All y'all gotta die. None of you jokers are going in. I'm gonna wait for your kids. I'm gonna wait for your kids. Now, where is the good in that? Where is the good in that? I understand you just took these people from your so-called fake Exodus, and they're not seeing all these miracles, and they technically should just go ahead and do what you say they're gonna do. But at the same time that they saw you turn the water into blood, they saw the Egyptians turn the water into blood. At the first three so-called plagues, they saw the Egyptians do the same plagues. So these people are henotheistic. They believe that every god exists, right? They may worship this god, but they believe every god exists. So since they have that belief, they're not 100% on you because you battle. This guy battles. He's not like winning all the time. So it's understandable for them to be skeptical. And plus, every time they did say something to you in the wilderness, you came back with a bunch of bullshit. You know, oh, we tired of eating manna. Here's a trillion. What we figured the number was 1.4 trillion quail. You know, I'm gonna overstuff you with meat. You left us out here. There's no water. Y'all getting on my nerves. I'm gonna give you some water out of a rock. You know, y'all saying stuff. So I'm gonna send some serpents on you and bite the shit out of you. And then I'm gonna have you look at a golden serpent so that you feel that you get healed. You know, y'all question me, so I'm gonna kill 3,000 of you. The fear tactics of this guy is one of the reasons why we study this book and we walk away from this book. You know, and this is just another one of those situations where he's reminding the people, hey, even though y'all realize after I said that I'm gonna have you walk into the wilderness, and y'all said, oh, you know what, my bad. We gonna go fight. We're gonna go fight the good fight. Nah, fuck y'all. Right? Why would I worship that God? Why would anybody else? Why would any of us worship that God? That just shows that this God is very vindictive. That this God is very childlike. You know, this is not the making of a good God. And as old boy said, what is it? We spend so much time on this. Yes, because deconstructing from this book takes a lot of time. And of course, there's always the thing of, you're not my audience, so I don't even understand why you're here. So to continue. So that was the end of Deuteronomy chapter 1. We're going through this one pretty quick, pretty good. So you know we always do at least 2 until we get to the very end and might have to do 3. Oh, there's a busy road that's, y'all probably can't see it. Just in case y'all wonder why that noise. So behind those bushes, those trees, is a busy road. I didn't realize how busy that road can be until we moved here. I was hoping that this microphone little cover thing will help, but it ain't. Let's see, where's my face at? Where's this thing at? Got to work on this lighting. This. I love my sunlight. You know, when we was in Atlanta, I was able to shoot these in the house, but can't smoke inside in this house. So got to figure out a way to make the outside work. All right. Now, chapter 2 is going to continue on with the same kind of dissertation that Moses is giving to the people and making sure that they shut the hell up and do what he tells them to do, and don't make the same mistake as your parents. Basically, is what he's trying to say. This is what your parents did. This is why they all died in the wilderness. Hopefully, y'all will act right now that it's time for y'all to get here. Set up a deck. All right. So let's continue. Gotta keep my cigar lit. Got a lot of wind out here. So then we turn our journey into the wilderness of the way of the Red Sea, as the Lord spoke to me, and as we skirted the Mount of Mount Seir for many days. There's some good shit in this one, so I hope you guys pay attention to this one. There's some good stuff in this one as to why we don't. And I'm gonna piss off some Hebrew Israelites too. And the Lord spoke to me, saying, "You have skirted the mountains long enough. Turn northward and command the people, saying, You are about to pass through the territory of your brethren, the descendants of Esau, who lives in Seir, and they will be afraid of you. Therefore, watch yourselves carefully. Do not meddle with them, for I will not give you any of their land. No, not so much as one footstep, because I gave Mount Seir to Esau as a possession. You shall buy food from them with money that you may eat, and you shall also buy water from them with money that you may drink. For the Lord God has blessed you in all the works of your hand. He knows your trudging thoughts is great. I mean, you're trudging through the great wilderness for 40 years, and the Lord your God has been with you. You have lacked nothing. So, first thing, Esau. Correct me if I'm wrong. But it was Esau and Jacob, right? Esau and Jacob, right? Ain't that two brothers? I don't want to be wrong, but ain't it Esau and Jacob? Esau and Jacob. Yeah, them the two brothers, right? Now, don't the Hebrew Israelites say that God hated Esau? And the Bible does say that God hated Esau, right? This is one of their things. God hated Esau, and the Bible does in other parts say that he hated Esau, but yet he gave Esau possessions. But yet, although he has went about genociding many towns, to which he's going to talk about a little bit later in this one, now he's saying, "Oh no, I gave Esau some land, and Esau good, no. Don't worry about Esau." Because they were mad. Esau married a Hittite woman and a Canaanite woman, and had some babies, and the Edomites and all of them. So, but now he's telling the children of Israel, hey, they're gonna be a little nervous when y'all come marching through here, because everybody know y'all been genociding everybody. But no, buy shit from them. Them your brother, them your cousins. Them your cousins. But I thought this guy's supposed to hate Esau. Would he not genocide Esau? They say this God is never changing, but he constantly is demonstrating that his mindset changes depending upon who's writing the story. And since the Deuteronomist is writing this story, so let me give you a little. Well, no, I'm gonna wait. I'm gonna wait. It's gonna be in this chapter, but I'm gonna wait because of the time frame that this is being written. It's understandable why they're saying these things about Esau and his descendants, because they have not yet. The people of that time frame did not hate Esau, the Edomites, and the Ammonites. But we're going to get there in just a minute. So, and then he said, these 40 years, the Lord your God has been with you. You have lacked nothing. Did he really say that, y'all? Well, what? When they first got into the wilderness, weren't they missing water? And then when the people complained, and he didn't give them any water until the people complained about water, right? Till they complained about water. He didn't give them manna until the people complained about manna. And then when they complained about only eating manna, instead of giving them, a moderate, a decent, accommodating amount of bird, instead he gave them 1.4 trillion birds, right? Which is like, what do we talk? Oh, when we was talking about that part of it, I reminded y'all of, if you've never seen Brewster's Millions, when his uncle that he never knew said that his father caught him smoking a cigarette, so he locked him under the cabinet in the kitchen until he smoked so many cigarettes that he was sick of it and would never smoke again. So he didn't give them quail as a, oh, you know what, I understand, y'all been eating, this insect shit or bird shit that y'all been making in the bread, all this time. I'm pretty sure y'all are tired of that. Let me give y'all something else. Let me give you some quail, just two one quail a day per person. Instead, he was like, nah, I'm gonna give you like 200 quail a day per person. I'm gonna make you so sick of quail that you ain't gonna ever complain about that manna ever again. The only time he ever did something for these people is when they complained about it. So to make the statement that they were never lacking is a bullshit statement. That was a bullshit statement. So to continue. And when we pass beyond our brethren, the descendants of Esau, who dwell in Seir, away from the road of the plain, away from Elatha and Ezron Gerber, Jaber, we turn and pass by the way of the wilderness of Moab. Then the Lord said to me, do not harass Moab, nor contend with them in battle, for I will not give you any of their land as possessions, because I have given Ar to the descendants of Lot as a possession. Okay, so you got Moab, the Moabites, who, of course, later on in this book, they look down upon these people. They look down upon the Moabites. They treat them as second class citizens. But in this aspect, at this time frame, they're treating them all nice and everything. And remember, of the Moabites, the Midianites are the priest cult of the Moabite people. So they're kind of one and the same, just a different class with a slightly different name. And they're wanderers, nomadic people as well. But they did establish a Moabite kingdom at one point around the 1400 BCE. But appreciate that, Cordero. But here's the thing about, do you see how they just skirt over who the Moabite people were? Does anybody remember where because remember he said this is a descendant of the Lot of this these are the descendants of Lot. So if they're the descendants of Lot, you see how they kind of skirting over how these descendants came to be? What happened to Lot? Who remember? Y'all should remember now. I'm sure some of y'all, we done talked about it before. The person that is credited in the Bible as starting the Moabite people, even though we know the Moabite people were not started by anybody in this Bible. Right? Yeah, his wife got salty. Yeah. They didn't start many of these people. The Moabite people were around before any Israelites were around. Before they were actually, if you saw the video I did the other day, they were one of the first people to begin worshiping Yahweh. And not Yahweh as an individual God over everything, but as a god of a pantheon, the son of El and Asherah. But so that we can move along, the Moabites are the children, the descendants of one of Lot's daughters getting him drunk, sexually molesting him, and becoming pregnant by him, making the Moab, when Moab was born, Lot was his daddy, and his mama was his sister mama. So if I'm God, why would I encourage incest in any format whatsoever? Why would I praise incest in any format whatsoever? Because that's what this God is doing. Sorry, I broke glass on the deck last night. I just saw a piece. But that is where the Moabite people come from. These are the Israelite cousins, these incest tribe of people. But I like how they just kind of skirt past that. Oh, they're just the Moabites, the descendants of Lot. And they have the area of Ar. But they are from incest. Another reason why we don't worship this book. Because y'all gonna be getting with y'all brothers and cousins and uncles and daddies. But you see how in our traditions today, that's illegal, and people see that as being sinful. But yet, in their time, in the Bible, it was okay. It is not. Wasn't until later on that they stopped doing it. Which is some bullshit. Got to be starting something. All right. To continue. Move that up so I can actually see it. The Emim had dwelt there, and had dwelt there in times past, and people as great and numerous and tall as the Anakim. So I guess they were giants. They were also regarded as giants. Oh, well, hell, they said it right there. They were also regarded as giants, like the Anakim, but the Moabites called them Emim. The Horites formerly dwelt in Seir, but the descendants of Esau disposed them and destroyed them from before them, and dwelt in their place, just as Israel did to the land of their possessions, which the Lord gave them. So, genocide. Now rise and cross over the valley of Zered. So we crossed over the valley of Zered, and the time we took to come to Kadesh Barnea until we crossed over the valley of the Zered was 38 years, until all the generations of men of war was consumed from the midst of the camp, just as the Lord had sworn to them. For indeed the hand of the Lord was against them, and destroyed them from the midst of the camps until they were consumed. Because it's got to be an impossibility for this guy to have forgiven everybody who was 20 years old and older, who thought that maybe we shouldn't take this town. Maybe it's too fortified. So let me make sure I remind all of y'all how your parents and your grandparents died in the wilderness because they made one mistake. They make one mistake. They pissed this guy off more than one time, but that was the straw that broke the camel back. And even though they said, you know what, let's go fight anyway. I'm my bad. Nope, no forgiveness, none whatsoever. So it was, when all the men of the war had finally perished from among the people, that the Lord spoke to me, saying, this day you are to cross over to Ar, the boundary of Moab. And when you come near the people of Ammon, do not harass them or meddle with them, for I will not give you any of the land of the people of Ammon as a possession, because I have given it to the descendants of Lot as a possession. Ammon is the other children from the incest. That was also regarded as the land of the giants. Giants formerly dwelt there, but the Ammonites called them Zamzumim, as people as great and numerous and tall as the Anakim. But the Lord destroyed them before them, and they disposed them and dwelt in their place, just as he had done for the descendants of Esau, who dwelt in Seir, and he destroyed the Horites from before them. They disposed them and dwelt in their place even to this day. I'm gonna finish this sentence, but I'm gonna come back. And the Avim, who dwelt in the villages as far as Gaza, the Caphatorim, whom came from Caphtor, destroyed them and dwelt in their land. So that's a whole lot of genociding of people that we've never heard of before, that these people went off and they just was killing them, right? I don't know if y'all can see this ash from the fire pit going around. But one, they're talking about these giants were still in existence, but I thought the flood killed all the giants. Where the hell did the giants come from? Whether you call them giants or Nephilim or Watchers, where did they come from? They were supposedly all dead. Now there's this bullshit about a second incursion that many apologists try to use, but there's zero evidence within their Bible, or zero. There's no statements of that within their Bible ever that there was a second incursion. This is just something that they make up. The other thought process was that the daughters of Noah's daughters-in-law, that they carry the Nephilim gene within them. But if this guy was trying to start everything over again, why would he allow the daughters to be tainted with this Nephilim gene? But it's just the fact that they were short. They were like just short people. The average height of them was around 4'11". So anybody who was 6 feet tall would be considered a giant, right? Now, there's something else in this part. There's something else in this. Y'all see Angelina trying to sneak by? I don't know why she's trying to sneak by. What are you doing? Why are you touching the trash can? You are not supposed to be touching the trash can.
No, I'm taking that food out of the garage. So it's easier to dump it.
I could have did it.
You're busy, though.
You touching trash cans.
Yeah, but you're busy.
You ain't supposed to touch trash cans. No. No, now. Do it again, him.
Ooh.
You know what? I can't say nothing to you.
What you gonna do?
Go on. You interrupted. Oh my God. Now, why didn't she ask me to get the trash can before if she knew she was going to need the trash can? Anyway, back to the story. Back to the lesson. Brian, you tell your wife the same stuff. All right, so here's another thing. This part here, most people will ignore it and don't think about it. But this part right here is going to demonstrate how this book was written as propaganda and how it doesn't connect with history, right? So it talked about the Ammonites, and I want you guys to go research this on your own time. But the Ammonites, wait, all your time is your own time, but I want you to go look this up. Just don't do it now. So the Ammonite people established their kingdom around the 13th century BCE, all right? So this puts them in around 1200 BCE that they were established. This time frame of the Bible is supposedly happening around the 1500s to 1400 BCE. So that means, what that indicates is that the Ammonites people weren't even in existence at the time frame that this story is supposed to be told. That there was no such thing as Ammonites. There was no Ammonite kingdom. There was no Ammonite villages. There was no Ammonites at the time frame that Moses supposedly wrote this book. The Ammonite kingdom lasted until around the 2nd century BCE. Before they lasted up until the Maccabees. The Maccabees wind up destroying these people. So the Maccabees went against their book and they wind up defeating them in battle and destroying the Ammonite kingdom in around in the early 1st century time frame. Either late 2nd century, early 1st century. They wind up destroying these people. So, because I can't remember when the Maccabees were. I think the Maccabees were like 60, like late 100s to 60. I know the Romans came in around 69. And I think the Maccabees took over from the Greeks around 136, somewhere around in there. So anyway, these people wouldn't be around. Now, they say the Maccabees and the Ammonites were still living in this city till this day, which the Ammonite people were constantly attacking and raiding Jerusalem during the time frame after the Babylonian captivity, especially when they were trying to rebuild the temple. They was constantly trying to harass and keep them from rebuilding the temple. So this is why Ezra is speaking of these people. Um, but also Jehoiakim was also writing about these people. So somewhere between that last part of Babylon captivity till Ezra at the end of it is when they wrote about when Deuteronomy was being written. So that gives you an idea when Deuteronomy was being written, which was during the time of Ezra. So we're talking about 520 something BCE, and the Ammonites were in that area at that time frame. But during the time of Moses, they weren't there. So that's a historical contradiction that's in this Bible that lets us know that this cannot be the inspired or written word of some deity, because you would think that this God would know better and wouldn't mess. But obviously, he didn't know. He had no idea that the Ammonites weren't even around at that time frame. But like I said, most people won't even think about that. And I'm gonna take that part and I'm gonna do a short video about that later on the day, uh, as well, for people who don't come onto the live. Right? But I definitely wanted you guys to have that part. If no other part in this, what we've read today, make you say, that should make you historically look at this and be like, something ain't right. Something is not right. All right, so let's continue. And not to mention, they just mentioned 3-4 people that they just genocided. And there's nothing else about those people. So rise and take your journey and cross over the river Arnon. Look, I have given into your hands Shion, the Amorite king of Heshbon, and his land, being began to possess it, him in battle, to I'm messing up bad. Engage him in battle. This day I will begin to put the dread and the fear of you upon the nations under the whole heavens, who shall hear and report of you, and shall tremble and be in anguish because of you. Now I want you to remember that part right there. He just said that, look, I have given, he said, cross over to the river Arnon. I give into you the hand, I give to your hand Shion the Amorites, the king, and his land. Begin to possess it and engage him in battle. Remember that part. Engage him in battle. So, and they shall tremble and be in anguish against you. And I sent, this is Moses, and I sent messengers from the wilderness of Kedemoth, Kedemoth to Shion, king of the Heshbon, with words of peace, saying, let me pass through your land. I will keep strictly to the road, and I will turn neither to the right nor to the left. You shall sell me food for money, and I may eat, and give me water for money, that I may drink. Only let me pass through on foot, just as the descendants of Esau, who dwelt in Seir, and the Moabites who dwelt in Ar, did for me, until I crossed the Jordan into the land of which the Lord God has given us. But the king of Shion would not let us pass through, for the Lord your God hardened his spirit and made his heart obstinate, that he might deliver him into your hands on this day. So the problem here is, first he tells them, you know, as if this guy's intent was them to fight. This guy's intent was for them to engage the Amorite king in battle. But then Moses sends a peaceful messenger to him. But then this guy's is like, nope, 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 nope. I'm going to harden his heart. This is the same rhetoric from them with the Egyptians. I'm going to harden Pharaoh's heart to make sure that he says no when you come peacefully to ask him to leave. Because this God likes war. This God likes fighting. This God likes genocide. So even though the king Shion was of the mindset of, sure, I'll let you go through. You can buy food, you can buy water, be a good boost for our economy. You got about what, almost 2 million people going through here. We finna make some money. It's good for my people. Nope. This guy says, nah, I'm gonna harden your hearts because I'm gonna harden this king's heart so that y'all will engage him in battle so that we can destroy them. And they don't just destroy them a little bit, they're gonna destroy them a whole lot of bit as we get through to this one. So it just demonstrates the evilness of this God, that instead of allowing these people to cross through peacefully, he'd rather they fight. He'd rather they kill them. Because as he said, for the Lord, all caps, your God hardened his spirit and made his heart obstinate. So fuck that free will. We're not doing that free will thing. We I want to see a good battle. I want to see y'all just walking alone. That's boring. That's not good TV. That's not good TV for this God. I need to see y'all fight. Because that's what he does. And that's part of what's wrong with this Bible. And the Lord said to me, see, I have begun to give you I have begun to give Shion and his land over to you. Begin to possess it, that you may inherit his land. Then Shion and all his people came out against us to fight at Jahaz. And the Lord our God delivered him over to us. So we defeated him. That's fine. You in battle, you kill the king. His sons, that's fine. You in battle, you kill his sons. And all his people. Some Bibles in this part said, and all his armies, right? So in battle, you fight, you kill the army, right? That's fine. That's how war works, right? But then we took all his cities at that time, and we utterly destroyed the men, the women, and the little ones of every city. We left none remaining. Conrad, you just said nothing's wrong with this Bible. Your God just killed all the men, all the women, and all the babies. And you want people to worship this God? Hmm? Would you prefer God made us robots without free will? He just took Shion's free will, bro. Did you not hear that part? Shion didn't have free will. Your God manipulated his free will just so that the people can go in, the Israelites can go in and kill not just the king's sons and his army, but all the men, which would mean all the men, the old men, the non-combatant men, all the men, the women, all the women, all the women, and all the little ones. What part of genocide makes this God good is beyond my understanding. And that's why he's not good. Well, so let me retract that. It's not beyond my understanding. This God is freaking evil. It's plain and simple. But he killed all the little ones and left none remaining. This is total war. Even today, we have agreements with other countries not to commit total war. And the majority of the world abides by that. So we got more morality today than this guy had back then. But hey, got to get some other stuff out of it. We took only the livestock as plunder for ourselves with the spoils of the cities which we took. Now, mind you, they're not staying and stopping in these cities. They're just conquering and moving on, conquering and moving on. What else does that? A virus conquers and moves on, conquers and moves on, right? What's up from Sudan? All right, you the first person we ever had from South Sudan. Welcome to the family. So they conquer and move on like a virus, to which they are in this book. Not saying the people that they are, but those who follow this book, you're a virus. From Arior, and I'm saying that's so wrong. Aroer, which is on the banks of the river Arnon, and from the cities that is in the ravine, as far as Gilead, there was not one city too strong for us. The Lord our God delivered all to us. Only you did not go near the land of the people of Ammon, anywhere along the river Jabbok, or to the cities of the mountains, or where the Lord our God had forbidden us. And that's the end of chapter 2, and we're not going to go into chapter 3 until next week. So, what do we see here again? What do we see here again? Again, we are justified in our revulsion of this deity because there was a city, a king. They wanted to pass through. Moses sends a messenger to say, let us just pass through freely. We're going to pay you for some food and water. The king, most likely, good deal. But this God, let me harden your heart so that you say no, because I want to see a good fight. And not only do you kill all the people, defeat the army, but you kill all the women, all the old men, all the men, period. And you kill all the babies. All the babies. When they say that this God is pro-life, it is parts like this that reminds us this God is not pro-life. This God is pro-genocide. Constantly, and is pro-genocide. This is mob mentality. This is, we got to kill all the little ones because one day they may rise up against us. So kill the babies. And I know this sounds horrible, but at least in other parts, they was like, the girls who've not known a man, we're going to take them as our wives. It's not that much better because now they got to live and become wives of men who just murdered their entire families. But in this case, they kill everybody. Everybody. This is why we don't follow this guy. And the fact that he can't get his history right is another reason why we don't follow this guy. It is painfully, let me tell y'all how long it took me to research the Ammonite people. It took me 10 minutes. 10 minutes. And the only reason it took me 10 minutes is because I was watching Star Trek at the same time that I was researching the Ammonites. If I wasn't watching Star Trek Discovery to be exact, it would not have even taken me 10 minutes to research the Ammonite people to find out who they are, when they came into power, when they came to be, and how long they were there, who took them out finally. It took 10 minutes. But that understanding of their timeline, you can see how when Ezra is writing about this after the Babylonian captivity, they were a harassing faction to them. And because they were part of the family of Abraham, he gives them a little bit of space on this part. But by the time you get into the Maccabees like, fuck them. I don't care what this book say. We're gonna kill them. Which is one of the reasons some of the Jewish people today don't really care for the Maccabees, because the Maccabees, even though they fought against Hellenization, they still incorporated some Hellenization into their idea of Judaism as well. But that's a whole nother story. Um, so I hope you guys enjoyed today going through that part. Of course, it's not the end of the day. We're going to start our. Does anybody have any questions about what we read before we open up the door? Before we open the church doors to every question, does anybody have any questions or thoughts concerning this part? Because I know I've missed some of your comments because I'm in the reading part. These ain't secret, these are blatant. Yeah. I see Dalton said, "What does that mean?" You might have to. If you're talking to me, I need to know what that is. Let's see. I can read it better. It's here. How would you have gone about it? Why does God let evil exist? Because this is what happens if He does. If He does. So how did the rest of the world do it? Is death the ultimate evil? So if I had children, if I had a tribe of people who I felt was oppressed, then, and I'm God, then I'm just gonna, I would just move them into a land that's uninhabited and teach them how to be good people. Now for the or I would come over and teach the people. I would also teach the people who oppress them that what they're doing is wrong, and show them how to live. Show them that all people are equal. That men and women, that different tribes, different cultures, are equal under my love, and all can have it. But it is wrong to possess another people, and it is wrong to murder people because you don't agree with their culture or their ideas or anything like that. Now, if the evil people don't want to listen, then those who that's the good part right now. How would I do that part? If I got those who don't want to listen, I would put them in some type of punishment that doesn't kill them, but yet demonstrates my power. Like I might make them sick, but I wouldn't kill them. And for those who agree that, because not everybody in that society is going to be that way. Think about the children of Egypt. You kill the firstborn of all of Egypt. That means there was people down in Karnak who had no idea of what was going on up in Cairo, for example. They would not have known. So why am I punishing them for something that they don't even know what's going on? They have no idea. So I'm not going to punish them. I'm going to punish the individuals who are making these decisions, the ones who are standing strong on that position. But that punishment wouldn't be death. It was just to let them know, hey, this is me, man. This is me. You ain't got no control over this. Now, if you want to keep being this way, then what I'm going to do is I'm going to separate you and put you into a land that's harsh for you to live in. But you can't rule the roost and still be around. It's kind of like if my son that would have ever raised up on me and been like, this is my house, I'll show him whose house it is. Actually, there's an example of that in my life. My oldest child, when she was about 10 years old, decided that she was going to really talk back to her mother and her grandfather. And her grandfather was living with us. I said, oh, is that right? You think you're grown? So I stripped it down to her little sports bra and her little underwear. And I put it now. Think our backyard was covered like this with a high fence. And I put her outside. I said, because you own nothing. You own nothing. You pay for nothing in here. You don't even own clothes on your back. So if you think you can be disrespectful to your adult, to the adults, go on out there. Be disrespectful. Go live your own life. Do your own thing. But you ain't taking nothing with you because you own absolutely nothing. She stood out there for about 10 minutes crying, apologizing and everything. And she never did it again in her life. So there are ways that you could correct people without having to kill people, and then killing people who had nothing to do with it. That's even worse. But the world back then was wide enough and big enough. He could have found a place for them. He didn't have to kill everybody to get that place. And even for the generations, okay, y'all didn't want to believe me. Y'all didn't want to trust me when I said that y'all can go and y'all can take this land, y'all can win this battle. Even though I would have never sent them into the battle in the first place. But let's just say I was stupid enough and I did that. They got some doubts. I'm going to come give them a good motivational speech. Y'all don't remember what I did for y'all already? Y'all remember the flame pillar, the crossing the Sea of Reeds, because it's not the Red Sea, the Sea of Reeds, and I blew the wind. Y'all remember when I had the manna from heaven? I had the duck, the quail, when I made the rocks, when the snakes. Come on, y'all. If I've done all that for you, don't you think that I would give this to you? I've definitely done everything I said I was going to do. Don't doubt me now. Not at the last minute. It's the fourth quarter. It's the fourth quarter, y'all. Last 2 minutes. 2-minute drill. Come on, we can win. And if they still didn't, I'd just been like, all right, we'll just sit here on the bank then. Just sit right here. And when y'all ready to trust me, all right. But then when they were ready to trust him, he turned his back on them. I'd have been like, all right, y'all ready. And it took you a moment. I understand. You're just human. You got your doubts. Now let's go get with it. All right. So, there are other ways I would have done it. Whooping was in the world long before slavery. Trump. Wait. Somebody said something. Hold on. I want to see what something said. I can't get back to it. Why did not let me scroll? I'm in. So all these people God kids probably sent them hell. Probably. Some of these names of these books came about because of what the books are about. Like Psalms is a book of poems, songs, and spells. Judges is because it was during the time frame that the Israelites was under Judges. Deuteronomy because this is the second law because Moses is giving a second law. Huh? I don't know what that means. Oh, shit! I gotta give me bat signals and stuff. I don't know what bat. Caw. Um, all right, and this is one of the things. Like when you seen Pharaoh actually do the same magic tricks that you did, then why would you trust this guy? There would be a reason to have a little bit of distrust in this God. And my thing is, why would you allow Pharaoh's magic to work if you're God? You understand what I'm saying? You're supposed to be God. You're supposed to be all powerful. Even if you say that Pharaoh was getting his power from demons or whatnot, you're supposed to be stronger than them. So when I turn the water into blood, and then Pharaoh try to do it, I'm not let Pharaoh do it. I'm like, I'm gonna block that. You know what I'm saying? I'm straight Jet Li on the wall. So why would you let Pharaoh be able to impress the people in the same way that you were able to do it? But even that part, if you was with us, we talked about how that part didn't make sense because it's claimed that this guy turned all the water into blood. And there were two aspects of that did not make any sense whatsoever. One, if all the water was turned into blood, where did Pharaoh get water to turn into blood? Two, if all the water was turned into blood, how can they dig next to the Nile and get water? There would be no water. All of it's supposed to be blood. So evidently, his magic trick didn't work as well as he wanted it to. It's almost 4:20 Eastern. Man, it is 2:05 Eastern Standard Time. All right, let's see. I don't know who Coach Hayes is, but I'm assuming it's an autocorrect. It's all right. If the God of the Bible allowed his so-called children to be enslaved for centuries, how could he be upset with them for not trusting him and assimilating the culture that was around him? Makes perfect sense to me. Makes perfect sense, right? Makes perfect sense. It's Black people have been in America for over 400 years, right? And have assimilated to American culture, which is one of the reasons why it is so difficult um, when a Black person does move to Africa, unless they have a will to become part of that culture. Usually there's a struggle in there because you're trying to strip off all the Americanism out of it. Or even when I lived in Germany, right? Americans used to get on my nerves in Germany. They would go. I know I told you guys this story many times before. I went to a KFC in Augsburg. It's in town. It's not on base. It's in town. Why is this woman yelling at the why is she yelling at the cashier about the fact that the cashier don't speak English? You're in Germany, in the town, not on base, and you expect her to speak English because she works for an American company, American-based company, but it's in Germany. Yeah, Americans are some of the most arrogant and dumbest people on the planet when it comes to having like a world knowledge and attitude. So why would he expect these people to act differently? And we dealt with this one too. If God and the devil are real and alive today, why doesn't God just forgive Satan? Because he would be bored, man. This is not a forgiving God. This is only a forgiving God when there is a blood sacrifice. If there's no blood sacrifice, he's not going to be forgiving of anything. There has to be a blood sacrifice, there has to be war, there has to be torment, there has to be all these things in order for him to find some levels of forgiveness. People claim it through Jesus, but the Jesus is a human sacrifice. And the whole Eucharist thing is the cannibalism of reminding yourself of this human blood sacrifice. It is purely a blood cult, because that would make sense, especially if the so-called Satan and all the so-called devil and all his demons were my first children. I should be even more forgiving of them than my second kids, which is supposed to be all of us. I mean, let's put it in context here. So me and Angelina are together. I have kids, she have kids. We're blended together. Uh, it would be like if my daughter Simone came and slapped me. I'm not going to forgive her. But if her daughter Rashida comes and slapped me, I will forgive her. I will forgive Rashida. That's stupid, right? I'm gonna forgive. I should be more forgiving of the one that I raised than the one that came second that I didn't raise. I it makes no sense whatsoever. I should be forgiving of both, but I certainly shouldn't be like, well, Simone, Lincoln, Sydney, me and your mom got divorced. I ain't dealing with y'all no more. I'm done with y'all. Y'all just as regular as anybody else to me. This is one good thing about being in North Carolina. It's cheer wine. It's hard to find this in Georgia. I'm not a big soda drinker, but I like cheer wine. But no, that's stupid. And I've always thought that was a major issue. Like why is there? And even at the end, there is still no forgiveness for them. Even at the end, according to this story, they go into a lake of fire for all eternity. And they had one revolt. How many times did these children of Israel, even in this part that we've read through Exodus and how it's reminding us in Deuteronomy, how many times did they complain and go against this God, but yet he keeps having forgiveness for them, but there's no forgiveness for the one time? Mm-mm. Yeah. Now I've heard that one before. I don't know as much about Islam, but he only changed the devil during the Ramadan. It makes no sense, right? It makes none whatsoever. Why don't you destroy him? Why don't you add? Okay, I understand. Energy can neither be created nor destroyed. Now, of course, we're talking duality here. You can't have good without evil. You can't have, it's all the same. It's on the same pole. As we talk about when we deal with alchemy, it's all the same. I mean, hermeticism, it's all on the same pole. But you could minimize if you are real entities. If you are truly a god, you could disperse the atomic structure of whatever this Satan devil is made out of. And I don't mean to use the word Satan because that's not what I mean. But you can take the devil and disperse its energies and its consciousness so thin that there is no consciousness based to it, and then it doesn't damage people. But instead, you're gonna chain it up and put it in like fire and all that bullshit. Yeah, exactly. Starseed. The humans have disrespected this God more than anybody else, more than any other entity ever created. I am not a Satanist by any stretch of the imagination, or a devil worship by any stretch of the imagination. But the devil never asked for any blood sacrifice or drinking blood or eating flesh. Where is that at? Other than people making claims of it, but where's that? And as far as this Bible is concerned. Now, if we look at some other religions, you can find that. But in this Bible thing, everything that they claim to be Satan or the devil never asked for a blood sacrifice. If you're looking at the serpent in the garden, never asked for a blood sacrifice. You're looking at the Satan or the Hasatan in the Job story, never asked for a blood sacrifice. Matter of fact, he had to get permission from this God to do this, to kill the people he did kill, right? But he's an angel. He's a Satan. He's an administrator. He's an adversary. He's like a prosecutor. He's not even an evil creature because he's up there in heaven with the celestial host, right? Uh, no other time when they make war is war. War is not blood sacrificing. So even the Antichrist and the beast and all that sort of thing, they're fighting a battle. That's not a sacrifice. So at no time does a character, I forgot Lucifer, which is the planet Venus, never asked for a blood sacrifice. And it's also Jesus in Revelation, never asked for a blood sacrifice, as far as the evil version of it. So, or what the Bible or what Christians call evil, never asked for a blood sacrifice. Only this God asked for a blood sacrifice. Ooh. Does the book The Alchemist have anything to do with Hermetic alchemy? The book The Alchemist, it does. It's very slight on the hermeticism, but it's more about the alchemical mindset than it is about anything else. It's a great book. It's a great book. Did she? Yeah. I hope she didn't read that book, but it's a great book. But it's more about having an alchemical mindset of uh, being decisive in your thoughts, uh, following your thoughts, following your instincts, and raising the conscious level of your thoughts is what the book really is about. And it's one book that I do recommend people read. Uh, but it does reveal some truths. I like that book. Yeah, only this guy won't sacrifice. I don't know if I'm lagging behind you guys or not. I might be. I understand how people read Numbers 31, 13, and any other Old Testament scripture and don't see that the person Moses was getting his order from was just another man. Moses was getting his orders from himself. Or some, if you go with the Anunnaki story, he was getting it from Enlil. Um, I read The Secret Gospel of John, but that was like 20, 30 years ago. So I don't remember a lot about it. Actually, I don't remember much of anything about it, to be honest. But I can understand if it was saying that. If anybody else read it, that's why I threw it up there. See if anybody else has read it. Where's my guy? We had a guy on here. I think he's Zoroastrian. He would be able to answer this better than I would. Is Spenta Minya from Zoroastrian the same entity in the Abrahamic faith? I don't know who Spenta Mengra is. I know Agramenya, and Agramenya is similar to the devil character in the Bible. So Agramenya is supposed to be like the Lord over the demons, kind of like the devil. And you have Ahura Mazda, who is the the Jehovah character. I don't know if the guy who's asking about Zoroastrianism is still on, and he could probably answer that. But Spentaminion, I've never heard that name before. Simplified Devil Dog. all those numerical values are um, is just numerology. Like the Bible people try to say you're not supposed to believe in sorcery, magic, witchcraft, all that sort of thing, but the Bible is filled with the same thing that they would call witchcraft, and numerology will be one of those things that they give meanings to numbers. Like the number 7 is supposed to be a number of completion and all that sort of thing. So I follow. My mindset is more of the Hermetic alchemist mindset, where there is the all. It's unknowable and it's undefinable, and we are merely the mental creations within the all. In the same way that last night I had some very interesting dreams, everybody who existed in my dream existed in my mind. And as for the time frame that they was in my mind, they were fully conscious beings that were existing on a matter plane inside of my mind. But they were all created because I mentally created them. Now, although some of the people were people that I know in the waking reality, there were also people in my dreams last night that I had never met before in my entire life, and they may or may not exist in this reality. But in my mental reality of my dream, they existed. They had matter. They touched things. They picked things up. They had emotions. They had all the other things about them. So we exist in the mind of the all in the same way that your dreams, the people in your dreams, exist in your mind. Now, scientifically, how we were created, I have no idea. I'm not an evolutionist. I do agree with adaptation, but as far as evolution, not so sold on it. Not 1% sold on that. There are some things that kind of fit, but there are things that don't. Need more evidence. But as far as and like the Anunnaki story, even with the Anunnaki story, there are some things that fit the Anunnaki story of manipulating the DNA of an early ancestors and modifying our DNA. And the fact that we can modify our DNA today says that if there was an earlier highly intellectual or technologically advanced civilizations before us, then they may have had that capability as well. And our DNA shows signs of different DNA sequences that was fused into our DNA. It doesn't look natural. So it's possible, but there's still not enough evidence to say that that's what happened. But I have no problem saying I don't know. Do you have lucid dreams or do you never have any control? Oh, I have lucid dreams a lot. Unfortunately, the lucid dreams I had last night were so lucid that I didn't even I felt like I was awake all night long. I was actually quite surprised when I woke up this morning, and that I'm not tired as hell. But my dreams last night was incredibly lucid. And I'm glad they were because it was a couple of X's in that dream last night, and I needed that to be lucid because one of them X's was trying to get back at me, and I'm glad it was very lucid. But I usually I don't like the lucid dream that I had last night. It was just too lucid. Other lucid dreams where I still feel like where my frontal lobe, my conscious brain is not as active because I feel like I feel rested in the morning when I wake up. I was not rested this morning. It took a minute to get started. Um, I'm not going to read everything you wrote here out loud, but I don't agree with any kind of original sin whatsoever. Babies are not born sinful. The world is not is not filled with sin in the sense that the Bible would make it out to be. The only real sin to me is when you do something that is against your own self, your own nature. Uh, and here's the thing: I go the basic code, and the basic code is kind of like the Zoroastrians, where the Zoroastrian says good thoughts, good words, good deeds. But I like that as a way of teaching people, training people. So that is one thing that I have taken from the Zoroastrians when I study Zoroastrianism. But my main premise is treat others exactly how you desire to be treated. I do not want to be stolen from, so I don't steal. But if I were to steal, then that would be blasphemy, not against the person, but against myself, because it's something that I would not want done to myself. This is why I don't steal, I don't murder, I don't rape, I don't do all those things that will harm someone else in their pursuit of having a joyful, peaceful, enlightening life. So I don't do it. The reason why I don't go to other Christian pages and say, you're wrong, you're wrong, you're wrong, because I technically don't like when people come. I personally don't like when people come to my page and do that. So I don't go do it to other people's page. So to me, those people are sinning against me because they wouldn't want that same thing coming towards them, because so they're sinning towards themselves. That is the only sin that exists. Once you raise your consciousness to where every action, every word, every deed, every thought is based on that, then there is no sin within you, because you will not think of anything sinfully, you will not speak anything sinfully, and you will not do anything sinfully, because you will not do any of those things to harm yourself, because energy is cyclic and it will come back. So if I go out and I'm starting to get on other people's pages and I do all that stuff, then I would expect that same thing to come back at me. In the same way that I use other people's videos, though, I don't mind if other people, if Christians or whoever, use my videos to advance whatever narrative they want to advance, because I do the same thing. And I don't see a problem with that, because it's just good discord, good conversation. You know? And I may actually learn from somebody who does that. In the same way, some people, when they come on here, I don't mind them. I did a video yesterday where I had to correct what I said about Lamech and the father of Noah. I had to correct it. Those types of things I have no problems with. Please, if I say something that's out of order, that doesn't fit, come back and let me know. But there's a difference. But like I told a gentleman this morning, there's a difference between criticism and being corrected. Right? You can criticize, but your criticism doesn't necessarily mean that you're correcting me, because it still may not make you right. Ooh, I like this one. What do you think about the ancient astronaut theory? I don't think the ancient astronaut theory doesn't fit for me. I don't think that they were ancient astronauts in the sense of coming from another planet. I think that they were previous civilizations on Earth that were highly technically advanced, maybe even advanced enough that they visited Sirius. They visited other planets in our solar system, but this was their home base, right? And so I think that their civilizations were destroyed during the Younger Dryas period, whether it was destroyed through the Ice Age period or through um, the storms and tsunamis that occurred at the end of the Younger Dryas period. And they merely restarted civilization. But any civilization that was higher in technology, if you're sufficiently higher in technology than a more primitive one, the more primitive one would think that you are a god, and they took advantage of that. But as far as them being astronauts, to the extent they come from another planet, no, they just, and they could have been a different species. Um, this is why adaptation again. We've seen animals adapt. We have adapted, and we will continue to adapt. Our sun continues to grow larger and larger. The moon continues to go further and further away. 10,000 years from now, if our version of humanity still is surviving, there will be adaptations that 10,000 years from now a person would have that we don't have today. And what, there's a body part that we have. I can't think of what body part it is. And we have no need of it, right? It doesn't do anything for us. But I'm sure at one point in our genetic history, that body part was needed. But that was when the earth was different. Yep, you get what you give. Yeah, the Dogons had the most beautiful story about Sirius B. Yeah, and the Dogons knew a lot about Sirius B. Some of the things that they said were correct. Some of the things they said were incorrect. They said that they didn't have the number of moons around Jupiter correct, but they knew that there were moons around Jupiter. The appendix, thank you. Like, we don't need the appendix. We don't need a wisdom tooth. But I'm sure at some point we did. I don't even know what the appendix is supposed to do or what it used to do. But did you know that the Dogons actually taught that there was Sirius and there's Sirius B? So there's Sirius A, which is the main one we see, Sirius B, but there's also another star that is a triune star system. And I think like in 2011 or something like that, that they realized that there's a third star, and they already knew that. So it's possible somebody else had the technology to know that, and then they told them. The God of the Bible, I believe, is Inky. Yeah, and this is why I think the Sumerians were writing about Enlil and Enki and all them, is that they thought that they were gods, and they weren't. They were just a pre-Earth civilization beforehand. I don't think they came from another planet. They might have visited other planets. I don't think they came from. I'm quite sure they visited other planets because they knew all this, or at least had the telescopic ability to see other planets. And even today, we're finding out that there is some big ass planetoid or big ass moon or something that's beyond Pluto. Vestial organs. Also, the appendix was a second stomach. Oh, learned something new today. I've had to pull this one up. Male nipples. Why do we have them? Why do men have nipples? There's absolutely no reason for a man to have a nipple that I can think of, other than like if we were still running around. Well, if we was running around without shirts, things like our nipples would also give us an indication of temperature and weather at a more sensitive level. Because I know my skin can feel one level of cold or one level of heat, but when you're shirtless, a man's nipple can feel a whole nother level of cold or heat. Trust me, every man, and I'm pretty sure women the same, but every man can probably attest to being cold, being kind of cool, but then nipples are colder and they hurt because it's too damn cold when you get inside. Maybe that was the purpose. Maybe that's the purpose of male nipples. I don't know. People say we don't need a pinky finger anymore. Oh hell no, man! I need this. How are you gonna do a pinky swear? You can't pinky swear if you don't have a pinky. Got to do the pinky swear. I don't know about that because grasping things, we still grasp things. Yep, them titties know when it's cold. I know something. Look, for those who find me for the first time, I'm not serious all the time. That's something when we're traveling cross country and some of y'all, when y'all actually meet me, one of the things you will find out is that I am nowhere near as serious as people try to make me out to be. And I will crack a sarcastic joke in a heartbeat. So be ready for that part. Oh, I'm losing my sun now. See, first the sun was all in the way, too bright. Now I'm losing it and putting me all in the shadows, which is an amazing thing because basically the sun has went from overhead to going southward, and then it'll head west for all my flat earthers out there. The weight on say the weight on your phone may develop more fingers. I don't mind. I don't mind. Actually, I want 2 more arms. I think we should have 4 arms. I mean, yeah, 4 arms. All right, Isaac, I'm gonna take that challenge. I'm gonna make a conscious effort and see how much I use my pinky. Right. The flat earthers will tell you that the sun and the moon are the actual ones moving, that the earth is stagnant in its position. But yeah, I don't even get into flat earth debates. I try to leave that bullshit alone because it's just some made up bullshit. And to me, you got to be Christian to believe in flat earth. Oh, no, the clouds are moving based on Gulf on um, I want to say the Gulf Stream because I live in the southeast, but wind currents and ocean currents. That's why the clouds move in the directions that they move 90% of the time. Sometimes there's an opposing wind, depending upon like if a cold front comes in or some winds come down from the Arctic or the what's that thing they got in California, the whatever name of that thing that comes out of California can change the directional pattern of the wind. But most of the time, like here in Wilmington, the beach is that way, right? So most of the time, so the clouds generally move like that because the Gulf Stream is trying to push it that way, but the wind from the Atlantic is trying to push it this way. So clouds generally go that way, well that way, because of those winds meeting and pushing. You have to be more specific, Antoine, as far as wish discovery. We are moving. Trauma, are you a flat earther? Oh, you're not saying the earth is flat, you just don't think that we're moving. No, we moving, man, guy. If we weren't moving, we wouldn't have what we call a sunrise or sunset. We really, today, we should not be calling it sunrise and sunset. We're just used to calling it sunrise and sunset. Um, we should call it something else, based on revolutions of the sun and the moon. So it's not so much a sunrise and sunset. Hold on. Give me a second. I don't want to be in the shadows because one, there is a breeze, and being in the shadows, that 60-degree weather that I got turns into like 50-degree weather. And y'all know how I feel about cold. Cold is not my friend. So I'm going to do a little bit of rearranging here. I got to get some sunlight. Got to. I'll be working on my summer melanin here in a minute. So I can get that nice bronzy golden brown going. I do believe in the axiom: the darker the berry, the sweeter the juice. When it comes to me, I am not one of those black people who shy away from the sun. I'm like, give me all that you got. Come on with it. Even though I know I'm not getting vitamin D from it because I'm too dark. Right. The sun rises in the east, set in the west. Now this throws off. Now I can't see. Ooh. Okay, so it's 60 down there. So I'm not jealous of you then. This is an interesting statement here. Once we understand truly how the universe was created, then and can prove it, people are still going to believe in God though, because they're going to believe that their God is the one who did it. I used to be that way. When I was going through my process, there was a point in time where my thoughts were everything that we know about science is just explaining how God did it, and I that's what I thought for about 3-4 years. Um, and, and I still somewhat think that it's in the mind of the all, not um, Yahweh. Definitely not Yahweh. Not that evil motherfucker. Right? The universe is inside of you. It's inside of you and it's outside of you. It's all around you. In the same way that you create and manifest a universe inside of your own mind. Like you can sit right now and focus on creating an entire universe in your own mind, right? Or you can write it down on paper and create a whole universe, a whole world. And for as long as it exists in your mind, it exists. You can't prove that it doesn't exist. It has matter. It has uh, scientific laws that are in place that go on, and you can change those laws. Like if you have those dreams where you fly, then all you're doing is changing how physics works in the mental universe that you created. But there are still physics at play in that creation in your mind. Okay, let's see. Where's my little mouse? Um, I was watching an article on marine biologists who made a new world record for the deepest sea that they found a monster that nearly killed him. Oh, as much as we try to explore outward, we should be exploring inward. We have literally very little knowledge of what's in the ocean. Like there are creatures and animals in the ocean that we have no idea exist. For a while, they thought that life couldn't exist at the bottom of the ocean until they found what was it? Those they found those the heated pylons in the bottom of the ocean, and there was life there, just a little bit of heat. So we thought that everything needed light, but everything doesn't need light to exist. The only thing it needs is heat to exist, right? And that's what we should recognize, that life exists wherever there is sufficient amount of heat. Ooh, I may have moved in the sun, but I sure struggle to see what y'all writing. Yeah, and exactly, trauma. Some of them were translucent, like you couldn't see. You can see through their bodies because if there is no light source, then there is no need for melanin uh, inside of any being. So this is why when they make the movies, like you guys remember the movie The Time Machine? I just I just tricked Angelina into watching it for the first time like a couple weeks back. But in that movie, the Morlocks lived underground. So since they had been underground for generations, generation, their skin didn't have a need for melanin because there was no light source, there was no sun. So the pigmentation in their skin changed, and they didn't have a need for melanin anymore, or they had less of a need for melanin, so the amount of melanin in their skin decreased drastically. Yep, and that's one of the things they had two worms. There were these shrimp-like creatures and crab-like creatures that were all existing at the bottom of at that part of the bottom of the ocean. And then there's even different water densities. There was like a lake. I don't know if you saw the underwater lake, which was just heavier water. And like let me make sure I get it right. The Atlantic Ocean is saltier than the Pacific Ocean. So where the two oceans meet, and I want to go see this. I have to see this for myself. But where the two oceans meet, there's they they people say they don't mix, but of course it mixes. It just mixes so slowly that it looks like the optical illusion is that it doesn't mix. But because it hits this barrier of salinity, it's like a line in the ocean. That's and in late July, early August, when me and my brother and KJ ride up to Seattle, I know one of the days we're going to be in Salt Lake. And the only reason I want to go to Salt Lake is to see, well, one, I want to take the bikes onto the Salt Lake the salt flats, but go to Salt Lake so I can see where the salt water and the fresh water meet. Do I think giants still exist to this day? There was Andre the Giant. There was Big John Stud. There's Wimbenyana, Shaq. Uh, but giants of the Bible, no. I don't think the giants of the Bible existed in the framework that the Bible. Well, let me not say that. Let me not say that. Is it possible that the pre-existing civilizations could have gotten with people and had sex and created babies? Sure, but I don't think that they were as tall as the Bible tries to make them. You know, these 50 feet tall people. I mean, ladies. Let's be honest, ladies. It's another thing you'll find out about me. I love talking about sex. Um, think about the not the atomic structure, the anatomy of a 50-foot tall man. And although there are some, how many of you ladies want to deal with a 50-foot tall man? That's taller than an elephant. And I don't know if you've seen an elephant slung, but a 50-foot tall man, he ain't getting it. And then you got to think humans back then were shorter. You think a 50-foot tall man is finna get busy with a 4-foot woman? She 4'3". Even if she was 6 foot. Hell no. Unless he was a giant with a little ping ping. She ain't letting that get in her pum pum. No, no. 50-foot tall man ping ping is not getting into a 5-foot woman's pum pum. It's not happening. But now, giants, as far as I think they say Goliath was maybe 8 feet tall. That'll work. That'll work all day. His brothers, similar height, work all day. Oh, I forgot to mention when we talked about Og, when they killed the king of Og. Actually, that's next week in chapter 3 when they talk about Og more. Og is supposed to be a giant, right? Look at the book of Enoch, though. Og is some kind of creature that was so big it was too big to get into the ark, so they had to tie it to the top of the ark. But Og is supposed to be a giant. But if we're talking 8 feet, 7 feet, sure. What about these giant skeletons that they? Nobody, it's all skeptic. I'm skeptical about all those giant skeletons that they keep claiming that they are finding. I know people like to say they trying to cover it up, but that would mean every government around the world would be covering these things up, and I just don't see it. So I don't know. It's one of those things that there has to be a huge consensus of proof. we will constantly have to reevaluate how life exists in this universe, even on this planet. There could be life that can exist in a acid-based environment for all we know, right? Life seems to have a way of figuring things out. I have debated people who claim to be Christian scholars, and I have debated many people who have went to different seminaries and religious studies and got their little degrees in them. But I find that most of them are just, they kind of take the apostolic creed of, no matter what information I find, I'm going to make it relate to this Bible. So most of the time, I found them boring. And the last time I debated somebody, and this was years and years and years ago on Kevin Wesley's channel, back when he used to talk about this kind of thing, and the guy started crying. And after that debate, that's when I kind of stopped. I was like, nah. And y'all didn't hear it, but after we got off and that guy was still on, I apologized, because he was like, man, y'all shaking my faith and all this kind of stuff. And I was like, that was not the intent, because I'm not here to try to change anybody. But most Christians, you get into it's a circle debate, and I get bored with those. We're just going in circles. People just need some shrooms and they'll see how absurd the Bible is. I didn't have my first shroom experience until about almost 2 years ago. And it was a good night. I don't know if I saw your question, Jorge. Is that how you say Jorge? George? It's not George. I'm supposed to be learning Spanish, so I should be able to say your name right. Mr. Martin. I see. This is another problem with the whole giants things, Brian. According to the Sumerian story, the Anunnaki and the Agigi were both male and female. But according to the biblical story, all the angels are males, so there wouldn't be any female giants. And plus, what you gonna do? Dive in there? But yeah, according to the biblical story, there are no female angels. This is why the last part of the Gospel of Thomas, it has Jesus saying that he's going to make Mary like one of you men, meaning that he's going to transfer her into a male. Yeah, that man feeling did get hurt, and I try to stay away. That's not my thing. My thing is, if you're questioning this book, I got you. If you've already decided to walk away, I got you. But if you steadfast in your belief, man, go do your own thing. I ain't trying to convince you. So that's always been my mindset on it. That's why, like, when I used to be married to a Christian woman, I used to tell her all the time, don't ask me questions, or, well, at first it was like, if you ask me questions, I only answer questions to the length of her belief. But then she started asking questions beyond that. She's like, okay, I know you're answering the question based on what I believe, but what is your real thoughts? And I was like, stop asking me that kind of stuff. And she kept doing it. And so finally I started, giving her request, giving into her request, and it bothered her. And I was like, that's not why we together, And I would tell her stuff like, look, according to your beliefs, no one is married in heaven. So therefore, me not believing in your Bible and you not believing what I'm teaching doesn't really matter. The only thing that should matter is the connection that we're supposed to have here. But she couldn't come to grips with that. That's not ultimately what ended the relationship, but it definitely started playing a part because of the other stuff. It's like, you got this problem. So now any and everything else starts stacking on top of it. Are you atheist? No. If you want to put me in a category, as far as how religion goes, you would call me agnostic, because there's not enough proof of any of the deities of any of these books that people are claiming. But as I explained earlier, I do think that we exist in the mind of the all. Like there is a creative mind at work. We just exist in that mind. But that mind is not Geppettoing your life and is controlled by anger and guilt and rage and jealousies and all that sort of thing. The New Testament code didn't like the idea of daughters getting raped by giant ping pings. But according to the story, the women were willing. They were willing participants. I don't know how you're gonna be willingly participating with a 50-foot man's ping ping. It sucks being the only person in your family thinks I was raising. Yeah, I remember that feeling. For a long time, I was the only person in my family that thought the way I think. There's more of us now, but and it wasn't because of me that they started thinking that way. They came to me after they started developing that way on their own. I might have played a part because they recognized that I was already out, but uh, and some of them tracked down this page back in the day, and I was like, "Why are you?" We'd be at family meeting. I'd be like, "Hey, why are you on my page? Get off my page." So I actually discourage people from coming onto my page. I got some people in my life right now. They're like, "Oh, what you talk about? Don't worry about it. I want to follow your page. You can follow my cigar page. So y'all go follow Smoking Phoenix if you like cigars. You can go follow Angie's page of Really Did You Know, and you can go follow me and Angie's page of Eat, Sip, and Smoke Travels. But you are not following this page." I just recently had somebody like, "Oh, give me your page," and I was like, "Nope, nope, 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 nope. We have a good relationship right now. I'm not trying to mess it up." Now, if they ever come to this decision on their own, we can talk about it. I saw that video, but it's still I need some peer review on that. I need peer review. I need peer review. Without peer review, then it's just one person saying something. And there's so many hoaxes that people create that without peer review, I'm skeptical until I see the peer review on it. Uh, the idea of the word amen. I know a lot of people like to say that it means Amen Ra, and there is some you can go that route that you're saying, Amen Ra, giving all of the thanks to Ra. But you have to look at it's different languages may have similar words and they not necessarily mean the same thing. Just like Satan in Sumerian means administrator, but in Akkadian, which is a Semitic language, it meant um, what's the word? It means adversary. But I haven't done a study on amen in a long time, so I really can't go anything beyond that. I've never seen the life of Brian. Oh, I'm losing all my sun. Got to sit way back here. I've never seen the life of Brian. Let's see. Okay, so a lot of private messages. It depends on what I may respond to it. I may not, depend on what you wrote. Uh, but I get about 40, 50 of them a day. So I'm sure I'll get to it. To be done. Yeah, I think that's what it means. Like all is accomplished, all is done in the Semitic languages of the word amen. Also, The Life of Brian makes fun of how Jesus became Jesus. I have to check that out. Monty Python, sometimes I like the British humor, sometimes it's like, oh, but I'll check it out. Now, Mr. Bean, I like Mr. Bean. What was the guy back in my day? Oh man, Benny Hill. I used to love Benny Hill. And you know why? Because he always had women dressed in their underwear. I think that angels and demons are people. It's the energy that people create within themselves, and since we're receptive, we can receive those energies. Uh, that's all angels and demons are. Now, like I said, if the pre-existing humans, pre-existing civilizations is correct, then those would could have been confused as angels and demons. Like depending upon what time frame you're reading, the Sumerian Akkadian story, sometimes the Anunnaki's on top, sometimes the Agigi's on top, but they're always in a different caste system. So the Anunnaki are the guys, and the Agigi are the angels and demons. So if we're talking about Azazel, Azazel in the Sumerian was was an Agigi, but then in the Enoch story, he's an angel who becomes one of the Watchers, and then later becomes a demon. Appreciate that joke. Not Benny Hinn. Not Benny Hinn. Benny Hill. Benny Hill. Benny Hinn is funny too, but Benny Hill. Okay, so I'm not the only person who knew about Benny Hill. Benny Hill was funny. And of course, my little degenerate mind back then, you see some women in their bras and panties running around, giggity giggity. Uh, no. So if I use black magic to heal somebody, am I evil? What they would call black magic. I mean, it depends on who you're talking to. Like I hate the fact that they call some of it black magic, some of it white magic. It's just magic. The intent makes it. The intent makes it good evil. Just like your thoughts. Your good thoughts make it good energy. Your bad thoughts make it bad energy. You know. All right, so yeah, I'm in shadow now, and I'm not going out there in the grass. I'll go out there when I make my extra videos for the day. Yeah, I know. I gotta let me get some light. That's why you see some of my videos later in the day. I'm sitting by a fence line in the grass because that's where the sun is. And yeah, it's 3:01, which is about time for us to get off anyway. So even though we've lost the sun, it's time for us to stop the video. Have you written any current lately? Kevin, what are you talking? Have I written any rip currents? Like, oh, rip current? Hell no. No, sir. Last time I got caught in a rip current, I was 100+ yards out from the beach and had to swim back. I see them rip current signs that I stay away from that area. Right. Brian is perfect in that. If you follow the Abrahamic religion, it's miracles. If it's African or any other culture, then it's black magic. All right, so we got to get off here. And I lost all my stuff. Aleister Crowley, I think he has some good information, but then I think he just went off the deep end. So I appreciate you guys. Tomorrow we'll be back. Oh, tomorrow. One of the things I want to talk about tomorrow is I did go see the movie One Love. Is it called One Love? Yes, it's called One Love, which is the Bob Marley movie. I told you guys I love Bob Marley. Love his music. Love his music. And like I told that guy when I talked about that before, just because I love his music doesn't mean I agree with his spirituality. But I do want to break down that movie. There were some interesting things to break down in the Bob Marley movie. So if you haven't seen it, I'm going to spoil the shit out of it tomorrow if you don't already know his history. But there was some good thought processes that was talked about in that movie, and those are the main things we're going to focus on. So tomorrow, I know I'm moving like y'all can see me. I know this light ain't gonna make a difference. Nope, ain't make a bit of difference. So, ooh, look at that. I can do that. Nope, that's it. Oh well. So tomorrow we will talk a little bit about the Bob Marley movie and probably something else. There's a subject matter. I watched this documentary last night, and there was something from that documentary, so that means I got to watch it again. But we would. There's another subject matter we're going to talk about. Shit. And Angelina told me to write it down, and I said, "Oh no, I'm gonna remember," and I can't remember a damn thing from it. So it'll be a great conversation. It'll be a great conversation, just like always. So y'all have a great day, and I will see y'all tomorrow. So I'm about to go and make about 3-4 videos on some other subject matter. So always remember, you have to free yourself to be yourself because your greatness is non-negotiable. Good journey, good vibrations.